Jack Grealish is someone we need to have a conversation about, and we need to have this conversation now because he is just off the back of what I believe is his best performance in a Manchester City shirt. Now, before we get into the ins and outs, please do me a massive favour if you would. We're currently on the road to 4,000 subscribers and we would massively appreciate your support. So just hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new. It's all free to do, and we would really appreciate your support in this journey. Now listen, Rebel, Jack Grealish is someone who has had his fair share of criticism from the public mainly, and recently, more specifically after the Dortmund game, from City fans too. Some City fans were starting to come to the conclusion that maybe he actually isn't fit for Manchester City. Maybe he can't play at this level or the way we play football. I don't know about this level, but definitely the way we play football, because it's a unique style of play. And we've spoke about in depth for a long time now the adaptation period it takes to get into the system and to play football the way Pep Guardiola wants. But I have my theories on Jack Grealish, and all of you long-time viewers of the channel will know how much I love Jack Grealish, and I have my biases. But I also am objective when I need to be. So I do have my theories that I'm going to get into, and I think they make sense, and hopefully they make sense to you. All of you can get involved down below in the comments and give your thoughts on everything we say. Give your thoughts on Jack Grealish and how he's done so far, and also talk about how you felt he played against Wolves, because like I said, I think it was his best performance in a City shirt. But Rella, before I go ahead with my theories, how do you analyse Jack Grealish to date? Considering he had a pretty poor performance, he acknowledged it himself against Dortmund. He said he acknowledges the fact that he did not play well. It takes a big man to do that. I think you have to give him credit. It takes a big man to acknowledge when he didn't play well. A lesser man could have said, no, you're being harsh, and wilt away from the pressure, but he stuck his chest out and acknowledged it, and then backed it up with a great performance against Wolves.
Yeah, he spoke really well in that post-match against Wolves. He's just like that we can have one really, really good game, but then the game before and the game afterwards, he can completely fall off. He's been like that since he's come here. I think he has a lot left to offer, though. I mean, I can see a role from eventually maybe dropping into the midfield. We've seen how well he performs when he has Bernardo Silva there overlapping him and still having Cancelo going inside. I think that's when he plays his best football. We saw it in the derby. We saw it even last weekend. I thought he was fantastic. He still has to prove it consistently, though. That's what everyone's asking for, just consistency. Doesn't have to go out and get a goal and assist every week. It doesn't have to be like that. He just has to be able to put in constant 7s, 8s out of 10s, and he can do that. We know how good a player he is. Pep's not paying 100 million for someone who can't kick a football. We've seen him at Villa, how good he can be in multiple positions in the park. I think he still has a very, very good future here. I don't think he's anywhere near finished. I'm sure you're going to agree with that statement, considering your love for the man. But I think, talking to me, I'm one of the more objective people over Jack Grealish, like looking at it as everything. I take the bad as well as I took with the good. Everyone gave him leniency at the start, but there are people starting to lean on him now, which in my opinion makes sense. I think some of the scrutiny was definitely definitely justified. I think it was very justified because he's been playing piss poor lately, but we have to look at it as well. At the start of the season, he was fantastic, and it's all come, I think, whoever's partnering him on the wing. I think you'd somewhat agree with that.
Yeah, I spoke about it a bit recently on the front three, in which I believe that Pep should stick to the same front three as much as possible. I believe in order for yourself, or in order for any team to get the best out of their front three players, they need to learn together, they need to grow together, they need to fail together, they need to develop together. And I genuinely believe, and people will disagree with me, that Grealish on the left, Haaland through the middle, and Foden on the right is the best front three we can field, and it will become more clear in time to come should they be given the opportunity. But listen, with Grealish against Wolves, we saw the best out of Jack Grealish. He played great in a couple of games last season. Particularly the one that comes to mind is the 4-1 against Man United. I thought, other than Kevin De Bruyne, he was possibly the best player on the park that night. But he topped that against Wolves. He like I said, he played poor against Dortmund midweek, and then he scores in the first minute against Wolves. He needed that. And Pep spoke recently about Grealish. He's regularly asked Pep about Grealish's stats and why he's not getting goals and assists, and because that's something Grealish himself alluded to, particularly in his early days at City, that he wants more goals and assists. But Pep says we don't expect that. That's not what we want from Jack Grealish, and I think it makes more sense now that we've seen him over a longer period of time. For those of you who watch Jack Grealish regularly for City, you will know that when he plays, he is doubled up and tripled up on every single game. No matter who we're playing against, no matter how good the opposition is, they always double and triple up on him because they're afraid of what he can do. He's an aggressive runner with the ball. He runs into space, so they try to limit his space. So when Pep says we don't expect goals and assists from Grealish, he's not saying it, he's saying it without saying it, but he's basically saying that we use Grealish as a magnet for defenders where they'll triple up on him. Wolves tripled up on him before Nathan Collins was sent off. They tripled up on him, leaving space for the likes of Foden on the right-hand side, more space for Haaland through the middle. Granted, didn't play his best game, but there was more space for him. And then oncoming midfielders. So the expectation on Grealish, which neutrals seem to want more of, is goals and assists. It isn't from Pep Guardiola. We use him as a specific tactic, as a specific tool to become a magnet for defenders, to create space for our other attacking players. And we saw only after Nathan Collins got sent off, justified red card. As a fellow countryman, I don't like to say that, but it is a justified red card. Unfortunately, Mr. Collins, it was a dangerous tackle. But we saw when Wolves weren't able to double up and triple up on Jack Grealish, there was more space for him. He was being more aggressive. He was looking more like the Grealish of Aston Villa that all the people want to see so much more of. He looked absolutely fantastic, and he was only given that freedom and the opportunity to do so because there was more space on the pitch. And that's just it with Jack Grealish. There's more space on the pitch. That's what you're going to get. But on the goals and assists, he said it himself in his post-match interview following the Wolves game that when he played for Aston Villa, over the course of 2 Premier League seasons, he only scored 14 goals. So this narrative that Jack Grealish was some sort of a goal machine before he arrived to City is absolute nonsense. So for us to say Grealish is going to come in after scoring 14 goals across 2 seasons and become a bagsman for us is extremely unfair on him. And the critics will say that, when you play for a team like Man City in the attacking areas of the pitch, you have to score loads of goals. That's not the case. It's not the case. Every single facet of our attacking play has a specific purpose. Each player has a specific purpose, and it's not solely to score goals. Every player has their own reason as to why they do certain things on the pitch. Everything is completely preempted. It's pre-thought of. They know exactly what they're doing before they get the ball, before the game starts. They know the positions they will take up and why. Grealish, like I said, a magnet for defenders, takes up those spaces, attracts those defenders. So Foden, who is far more clinical on the right, can be more clinical. And he got his goal against Wolves, didn't he? There was more space for Haaland. He was able to run in and score off his right foot. Granted, got a bit of luck with the bobble, but that was more space because Grealish attracts these defenders. So I think people just need to understand Grealish's role. He said it himself when he first arrived as well, Revel, that, he thought when he arrived at City, he himself was going to get loads more goals just purely because we create so many opportunities. But I think he himself, along with us, if we're being honest and analysing it properly, realised that that's not his role that Pep set out for him. Pep set out a completely different role, which I've just explained, being an attraction for defenders.
Yeah, 100%. He is definitely the main catalyst for opening up space on a football pitch. I think what you said, when he plays against teams that leave a lot of space, that's when he looks his best. I thought in the couple of games he played against Liverpool last season, he looked really, really good. Games he played against German sides, other than Dortmund, Leipzig played a very high press last season. He looked really good against them with the Etihad. He thrives off that, and he's given a lot more space again when he's being overlapped as well. He can't look at the fact that, he always played with an overlapping fullback at Villa. This is the first time he's having something undercut him. So again, he has to kind of adapt with his left foot, start using that out the left hand side. But it's his game, and I think if you have a player like that, you need to play to his strengths at the same time. And I think we've looked our best when we played to his strengths. When we've had someone overlapping him, he doesn't look out of place at all. Again, like you said, he scored in the first minute and he created multiple more chances, dance around the Wolves' defence for the rest of the match. Do I think that he was bought purely to just drag players away from people? No, he was bought definitely to have some level of contribution when it comes to the goal scoring on a system front, but it's going to come with time. It's going to come when he eventually ingrains himself fully into the system. Now, especially when he's playing with the number 9, I think it's only going to come naturally. I'm not going to jump on a finished wagon yet, like some people are, but yeah, I think he does have to start turning around soon enough, unfortunately.
You do have to play to his strengths, and I think you'll find it's the teams like Newcastle, Liverpool, and other teams that get in our faces and leave space in behind is when you'll see Grealish flourish the most. His 2 best facets or assets to his game, Grealish, is his hold-up play, his ability to slow down the play and retain possession, as well as running into space when it's there, but the space is rarely there. So you have to allow for that. And once again, I will stress that I would like to see him be given the consistency over a number of weeks to play beside Haaland and Foden as a front 3. So I think you just have to understand Grealish's role a little bit and be patient with him. And I do agree that he does have to improve his goals and assists. I'm not here to defend him whenever he doesn't score, or if he goes another season having only scored 1 or 2 goals. You play for the champions, or the champions elect, hopefully. You do have to contribute. That you can't just solely be what I outlined, but we have to realise that what I outlined is the major part of his game, and Pep is also stressing that. So listen, get down involved below in the comments. Let us know your thoughts on everything I've said. I think I've gone in a fair bit of depth, and Revel has too, about our thoughts on Grealish and what we think the game plan is for him. And I'd love to know your thoughts on what I said about the front 3. Grealish, Haaland, Foden. Is that the best front 3? Can it be the best front 3 given time? You let me know. Leave a like on the video as well. Like I said, it massively helps us. Honestly, you don't understand understand how much a like on the video helps us, and subscribe to the channel if you're new on our road to 4K. Thank you very much for watching. We will see you on Friday, where we will have a good conversation about our midfield, because there's a lot to talk about there. Good night and God bless.